This is the answer key to the February 22nd, Module 8 review. The Matias family went out to eat at Outback Steakhouse and their dinner bill was $60. The waiter was great, so the family decided to give the waiter a 20% tip. How much did the total meal cost, including the tip? Use the percent model. So since the whole bill equals $60, the whole thing equals 60, and that means each 10% equals 6. Now, since the service is great, they gave 20%. I shaded 2 boxes, which equals 20%. That's the tip. So I added the 6 plus 6, and that means that they were going to give the waiter a $12 tip. But the question was asking, what's their total meal cost of their bill plus their tip? So I had to add the two amounts together, and their final bill or their final meal cost $72. Hannah had received a box of chocolates with 35 pieces of chocolates inside and ate 7 pieces. What percent of the chocolates were not eaten? You can use a percent model or use another method. I decided to use, I put the amount eaten in fraction form, that 7 out of the 35 pieces were eaten. And I realized I can't change 35 into a percent, so I simplified the fraction 7 over 35 to 1/5. Now I know 1/5 is a benchmark fraction, which equals 20%. Now that's the percent of the chocolates that were eaten. That means the rest were not eaten, which is 80%. If I wanted to use percent model, I would have made the whole thing out of 35. That means each box is 3.5, and you need to multiply that by 2 to get 7. That's 20%. That's another way you could have solved this. There are 50 children who joined after-school activities and 20 of them signed up for student government. What percentage of the students after school signed up for student government? So 50 means there are 50 in all, each 10% equals 5. And I wanted to know how many 5s would make 20, represented 20 students. That would be 5 times 4. So I had to shade 4 boxes. That means 40% of the students after school signed up for student government. On the trip, 48 students brought lunch, which is 20% of the students on the trip. How many students went on the trip? Use any method. So 20%, I shaded 2 boxes, which is 20%. That's how many of the students who went on the trip brought lunch. And that equals 48 students. So that the 2 shaded represents 48 students. So to figure how much goes in one, I did 48 divided by 2, which is 24. That means 24 goes in each box. So in all, there are 240 students that went on the trip. Connor was working on a test and completed 60% of the test so far. If 27 questions were completed so far, how many problems is on the test? Use any method. I showed 2 different methods. If you wanted to use the percent model, the whole thing, well, I would have shaded 60%, which represents 27 questions. And then I took 27 divided by 6 boxes, which equals 4.5. That means each box equals 4.5. That means in all, there were 45 questions. Now for this question, I would have used a proportion. 60% equals 60 out of 100, which simplifies to 6/10. And 6/10, if I divide 6 over 10 by 2, you get 3/5. And then this is the proportion that I would have solved on the side. 3/5. What 3/5 represent is for every 5 questions on the test, Connor completed 3 of them. Now, 27 questions were completed so far. Since that's part that goes on top. 3 times 9 makes 27, so 5 times 9 makes 45. That means Connor completed 27 out of the 45 questions, which equals 60%. So again, it's 45 questions. If a PlayStation was bought for $450 after a 10% discount, what was the original price of the PlayStation? Use any method. So I shaded 10%, that's the discount. Now it says that the PlayStation was bought for $450 after the discount. That means that the sale price means what the person paid for with the after the discount. So the 90% is actually what the customer actually paid for from the original price, which is $450. So all I did is 450 divided by 9, and I realized that it equals 50 for each box, and I had to fill in all the way down 50. That means that the original price was $500. What is the fraction percent equivalent of 1.24? 1.24 is written as 1n 24 hundredths. So as a fraction, it's 124 over 100, which is 124%. The bar model shows the answer to which of the following? 10% of 80. Now, is it out of 80? If each one is equal to 8, then yes, it is out of 80. Is it showing 10%? The answer is no. Because remember, it does have 10%, but look at what it's modeling. There are 6 green boxes, and all 6 green boxes does not equal 10%. Is it showing 60%? Yes. Is it out of 8? Is the whole thing out of 8? No. Look at the third one. What number is 60? Is it showing 60%? Yes. Is it out of 80? Yes. So what number is 60%? That's showing that. 48 is 60% of what number? Is it showing 48? If you look at each green box equals 8, and there are 6 of them. 8 times 6 is 48, so it does show 48, and it does show 60%, and we're trying to figure out what the whole thing is out of. 48, it does show 48. Is it out of 8? The whole thing? No. Does it represent 48? Yes. Is it out of 80? Yes. And then in this case, I'd have to find the missing percent. Oh, and so the first one, remember, we don't mark because it's not showing, it doesn't just shade 10%. Match the fractions with its decimal and percent equivalent. So I put all the fractions on top. 1/2 equals 50%. Now to change 50% to a decimal, get rid of the percent, move the decimal twice to the left because you're dividing by 100. So it's 0.50 or just 0.5. You don't need that 0 after the 0.5. 1/4, think of quarters, that's 25%. And the decimal form of that is 0.25. 3/4 is, again, like quarters, which is 75%. And then as a decimal, it'd be 0.75. 1/8 is half of a fourth. If a fourth is 25%, half of that is 12.5%, which equals 0.125. And then the last one, 3/5. 3/5 comes from 1/5. 1/5 is 20%. So 3/5 is 60%. And that's 0.6. And that's it. Feel free to try any of these problems again.